Yo, what's up boys? It's Betta here with my Toxic Rain Champion League Starter build guide for 3.18 Sentinel. So exactly what this build does is it takes advantage of using Toxic Rain to gather a whole bunch of spores. The higher our attack speed, the more spores that we can stack on top of each other, which then deals chaos damage. Toxic Rain has been a solid build for pretty much the past 5 or 6 leagues already, and I highly recommend that you give it a try should you have not given it a try yet. Otherwise, so our main damage dealer is Toxic Rain that we shoot off ourselves, and then we have a Ballista Totem as well with Toxic Rain 2, just for the additional damage and also to inflict Withered stacks too, giving us maybe 40% more damage or so, especially on bosses, which is a massive damage upgrade, considering that the skill has been nerfed over the past few leagues or so. Otherwise, it still performs really well. And other than that, our Ascendancy, us being a champion, makes us super tanky, and on top of that, we've got a high amount of armor and evasion rating, which is then further paired with 100% spell suppression, making us super tanky. And then the build does start off with absolutely zero budget, and in its current state, it does not need any clusters of sorts or whatever. All you need early on is a 5 link, possibly even a 6 link, and then from there on you can start investing into chaos damage over time. So the damage can feel like lackluster with zero budget early on. However, on our tree we take advantage of the damage over time nodes just to fill in a little bit of that damage that we do lose early on. And the reason why we do this is because later on we will invest into damage over time, and then the build will be able to do endgame bosses and pretty much anything that you want to in the game. It is a super solid build. Otherwise, leveling the build through the acts was really smooth. There is absolutely nothing that I can complain about. So I started off with Lancing Steel, went into Shattering Steel, and then by the end of Act 3 switched over to Toxic Rain, and thereon it was an absolute breeze into maps, zero struggles, nothing at all. Even early mapping was super easy. All of the labs were easy as well. And yeah, other than that, it's a really solid build. So, should this build appeal to you, then smack that subscribe button and ring the bell to stay updated on my latest videos or live streams that I do right here on YouTube. Also, consider liking the video in hopes of reaching more exiles possibly, and then join my community Discord for any questions that you need or any help that you might need with the build too. So in terms of leveling up the build, I have got a budget path of building down below in the description for you. I've got leveling trees attached to it as well, and then you must check out the notes on how to level through the acts. You'll start off early on with Splitting Steel, and then you'll end up changing to Shattering Steel, and then you should pick up Leap Slam, Ancestral Protector, Wall Banner, Vitality. By Act 2, you'll want to pick up a Heavy Belt and Jade Amulet. This is very important for your attribute requirements. And then you should pick up Blood Rage, Leap Slam, and Herald of Ash and Purity, along with Vicious Projectiles for later on. And then you'll want to do your Vendor recipe, whereby you take any two-handed sword or axe, which is along with a magic or a rare Rustic Sash belt, and vendor that along with 1 Blacksmith's Whetstone for a physical roll. You can also augment it for some more damage or even attack speed as well, will be super solid. And then once you are into Act 3, you must do the library quest, and you'll want to switch over to Toxic Rain by the time you are level 33. You must go ahead and buy a Defiance Banner, Determination, or Malevolence. It's up to you if you want more damage or survivability, along with Molten Shell, and then Flame Dash or Blink Arrow for your movements. And then you'll want to drop all of your Heralds, your Shattering Steel, Leaf Slam, Ancestral Protector, and Wall Banner for Toxic Rain, Vicious Projectiles, Efficacy, and Mirage Archer. And then for the extra damage from the Ballista Totem is from Toxic Rain and Faster Attacks. Just do note that in Act 3 you want to pick up either a Royal or a Grove Bow base, and then throw on any Essence or just Alk it. Mainly what you really want is to just have attack speed, as that takes priority. Other than that, once you get into Act 4, you'll want to link your Toxic Rain Ballista Totem to multiple totems and Withering Touch for the extra quality of life and damage that it provides. Otherwise, from here on, you will just speed your way right through the acts and yeah, just pretty much refer to the leveling trees and the notes, and then you'll pretty much be good then. Right, so I'm just going to start off with our Ascendancy first, and then we can cover a little bit of the skill tree, and then I'll go on into the gems of the character, and then break down the gearing as well for you, just to give you a bit of a perspective. So, first of all, for your normal lab, you'll want to pick up Inspirational. This gives 30% increased effects of non-curse auras from your skills. This gives a lot more quality of life from our Defiance banner, our Vitality and Determination, making us just that little bit more tanky. And then on top of that, it also increases the effect of Malevolence. This gives us even more damage over time as well, which is really, really cool. And then for your Cruel Lab, I would recommend picking up Unstoppable Hero, and then for Merciless Fortitude, these you only really need to do once you get into Act 10 or so. And the reason why is because even if you get Unstoppable Hero in your Cruel Lab, you won't have Fortify, so that is why you should only do it then. I mean, or you can do it early on if you really want. It's just that it won't do anything for you. Otherwise, Unstoppable Hero does give us 20% increased attack speed, which this build heavily relies on, is attack speed to get as many spore pods popping as possible. That way we are able to stack our damage up. And then having 20 stacks of fortification means that we are taking 20% less damage from all sources in the game. This is absolutely huge. It's probably the best way to mitigate damage in the game, I must say. And then lastly, for Uber Lab, you'll want to take First to Strike, Last to Fall. This is so that your hits intimidate enemies, making them take 10% increased attack damage, along with you gain Adrenaline when you reach low life, and each time that you do reach low life and that you gain Adrenaline, you'll be recovering 25% of your life, and you will remove all ailments. Other than that, moving on to the skill tree, pretty much early on, or you'll want to be picking up attack speed, a little bit of life, and a little bit more attack speed and life once again. And then you will want to start pathing over to Heart of Oak for some more extra life. From there on, Act 3, you can also pick up Herbalism for extra life and life recovery from Flasks. From the end of Act 3, when you, well, just before you do switch over to Toxic Rain, you will want to pick up Avatar of the Hunt. This is for the extra damage over time, movement speed, and then also the chance to gain phasing. This is really, really helpful early on getting through the acts. And then from Act 4, you'll want to come and pick up Replenishing Remedies. This is because you rely heavily on your mana flask right through the acts, even into maps and that. You will have to rely on your flask unless you do get minus max to total cost of skills craft on your rings and your amulets. Also a Replica Conqueror's Efficiency, I believe it is called. And then your cost should only be about 5 mana then, which will be absolutely huge. Other than that, we just pick up Charisma as well early on. This is just for the extra reservation efficiency, so we can fit in everything. We grab some more damage over time, obviously. And then increased area effect while wielding a bow, which is huge. This enables us to stack up more of our spore pods. And then some more chaos damage over time with some chaos resistance here. Some more life, a little bit of chaos damage over time. And then we just pick up some more life. Early on, if you do struggle with life and mana, you can pick up this node over here for life and mana on hit. You can also grab life and energy shield on kill for your early maps, just for the extra sustain with life. And then from there on, of course, it's just some more life here, a little bit more life and spell suppression too. Then we also use the Keystone Mage Bane. This is for early maps. Which gives an extra 1% chance to suppress spell damage per 15 dexterity. And as we do have a lot of dexterity, we are able to stack up almost about 14% spell suppression, around about. I believe in the part of building it only shows 10% for some reason. and then some more life here as well, resistance, and then exceptional performance. You should probably aim to get this by around about Act 5 or 6. This gives some more skill effect duration. This enables for all of our pods AoE to stack for longer, so we deal more damage over time. It is huge quality of life. Other than that, nothing too special here. We do also pick up Master Fletcher for the increased attack speed and damage over time with bows as well. Once again, stacking up attack speed is very important for the build. The gear for this character is very, very cheap, obviously. All that's really required is a short bow with +2 to level of socketed bow gems. In order to achieve this, what you'll want to do is get your hands on a short bow that's 6 linked, or you can even get a 5 link one, pretty much actually any bow you can get, and then you can just throw on a Shrieking Essence of Dread for the +2 to level of socketed bow gems, and then should you have an open prefix, then you can craft on increased damage over time as well. Or if you're really lucky, you can also get a high attack speed roll on the bow, which will be super solid early on. This will be able to take you right through your early maps, yellow maps, red maps, maybe even into bossing. However, then your damage will start to fall off while doing bossing. And then for the helmet over here, we just have a normal helmet with life and resistances on it. Of course, a little bit of spell suppression. And then for the amulets, we've got some strength and intelligence, along with all attributes, as the build does need a little bit of extra attributes. So you should look for them on any of your jewelry, or even your gloves or your boots as well would be solid, maybe even a chest piece as well. So what you'll be looking for on your amulet is to get chaos damage over time multiplier. This further increases the amount of chaos damage over time that Toxic Rain deals. As you can see, we're currently on 5,900, which is quite a lot of damage over time. I mean, early maps, I think I was sitting on 2,000 with white maps, and it felt perfectly fine. Once I was in yellow maps, I was around about 4,000 as well. And I mean, this can scale all the way into late game to ridiculous numbers of like 20,000 or something. Other than that, we are just using a hunter influenced ring here for the cursed enemies with despair on hit. This is so that they take even more damage over time, obviously, because we are just stacking up damage over time. With chaos damage on this build, it is really ideal to get this ring early on. It is huge. Well, it is a huge damage increase to the build. Highly recommend picking it up. And then for our other ring over here, we've got a Death's Rush for the you gain Onslaught for 4 seconds on kill. This is just an early source of Onslaught and can be replaced further down the line, obviously. I just feel it gives a lot of quality of life as well, because it gives the extra chaos resistance and a little bit of armor. And yeah, nothing else too serious there. And then moving on to our boots, you'll obviously want movement speed, a little bit of resistances, a high life roll if you can, maybe a little bit of mana or so. What will be solid on your boots is also to get spell suppression. If you do not have 100% spell suppression, then getting spell suppress on your boots is a really good idea. And then for our armor, once again, it's just going to be a high evasion rating base here, or it can be evasion rating armor, preferably evasion rating and armor. And then you'll want some chaos resistance on it as well, with a high life roll as you can get. And then also you can get the spell suppression on it too. However, early on, I think these might be a little bit expensive, and it will be easier to just get it on your boots and gloves, and you should be pretty good, because you get about 40% spell suppression from your tree, maybe 45% depending on where you path. And then on the gloves, obviously spell suppression once again, and then some life with resistance rolls. You must try and ensure that you do cap your resistances early on, which will be really easy, because I mean, the build doesn't demand anything specific in specific gear slots other than the Death Rush ring, which can be replaced obviously. And then for the belts is just a normal heavy belt here, because the build does rely on getting quite a bit of strength, and then quite a bit of a resistances too. just to bring our cap up once again with a little bit of laugh. Obviously, all of this gear is really cheap. I think I spent maybe like 2 chaos on each piece or so. And then the bow I bought for, it was like 10C. Realistically, early league start, it'll be probably 20C, maybe even 30C for a short bow. So it can be a little bit expensive. And then of course, you just want to throw on your essence. And then lastly, for the quiver, is just with some laugh and normal resistance. You should want to gain, you should look for ones which have chaos resistance as well, just to bring your chaos res up to as high as possible. And then of course the increased damage with bow skills is solid as well. Later on down the line, you will want to have damage over time multiplier, well, double multi on the quiver and that, and then lab enchants and all of those juicy things. And then for our flasks, it's just a normal laugh flask here, immunity to bleed, and then you must use a mana flask whereby the effect is not removed while you're on full mana. This is to ensure that you can keep on casting your toxic rains and your ballista totems as well. As you can see, because it uses 40 mana, this is essential early on. However, obviously when you get the reduced mana cost of skill crafts, then it won't be necessary to run a mana flask anymore, because your natural regen should be more than enough. And then we're just using a Quicksilver here with some reduced freeze effects on that. You should probably get freeze immunity, and I think that's probably the only dangerous thing. And then I have a Quartz Flask here for the extra spell suppression and phasing. Obviously we get phasing when we kill enemies from our skill tree. And then reduced effect of curses, because curses can be a little bit iffy on maps. And then just a Granite Flask here with 46% increased armor effect as well. This is just to make us more tanky while mapping. Right, in terms of our skill gems, for your main damage dealer, you'll want Toxic Rain linked to Vicious Projectiles for the more damage. Efficacy for the more damage and skill effect duration. Mirage Archer, this is a no-brainer here. You have to use this because it double dips your damage. It's really good. And then a Void Manipulation for the more chaos damage. And then also a Withering Touch. This is so that we can stack up our withers on enemies up to 15 stacks, making them take a lot more damage. It is really good. Other than that, I'm just using a Flame Dash to get around. You can choose whichever mobility skill you want. I just felt that Flame Dash was the most solid. Although when you are using your Withering Step, it does prevent you from gaining charges. So you should probably want to use something else. And then I'm just using a Malevolence here for the more chaos damage over time. And the increased skill effect duration once again. And then a Blood Rage. I use Blood Rage in order to gain frenzy charges, making us attack a lot faster, enabling us to deal our damage a lot quicker. And then in your chest, you'll want Toxic Rain to be linked to multiple totems and Ballista Totem. This turns Toxic Rain into totems to shoot the skill, obviously. And then you'll want Vicious Projectiles linked to it for the more chaos damage over time. Along with a Efficacy, once again, for the more damage over time. And the increased skill effect duration here. And then pretty much in your gloves or your boots is where you want to socket in your Determination for the huge amounts of armor it provides us with, along with Withering Step. This is just to pretty much get in between packs of monsters, and if you have to travel far to get to the other side of the map, if you missed out on a section or something, it is actually really good. Also, not to mention that it also inflicts 6 wither debuffs on enemies when you run through them while it is active. So it can be awesome to get those early withers on enemies while speeding through your maps. And then, of course, is Vitality for the life regen, and then a Defiance banner. This is for the increased armor and evasion rating and the reduced critical strike chance of enemies around you. And then you'll want to use a Enduring Cry linked to Urgent Orders. This is a pretty much an oh shit button, if you'll say. This is just in case when your life dips and maybe you don't have your life flask or something, you can just hit Enduring Cry. It's also super solid for generating endurance charges as well. Other than that, we are just using a Molten Shell otherwise, linked to cast when damage taken. This is just for that extra, extra armor and mitigation while taking fairly big hits. Obviously, you can drop the cast damage taken and just run Molten Shell on your left click and then trigger Withering Step whenever you want to. Otherwise, that is that. The bolt does rack up quite a fair amount of defenses. It is super solid, and I highly recommend that you guys should give this build a try if you have not yet. I never played Toxic Rain myself before, and ever since I started playing this build, I was skeptical at first, but holy shit, man, did it over exceed my expectations, especially on the defensive part as well, being a champion. Alrighty then, so should you have enjoyed this video, then don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you have not yet, and to hit that like button as well, as it helps me reach more exiles. Also, should you need any help with the build or you have any questions, then head on to my community Discord. The links are down below in the description. And just to add in that I have got two other League Starter builds as well. Should you still be looking for League Starters, they will be down in the description for you too. Otherwise, thanks for watching, Exile, and I'll see you in the next one.